fancy stuff in them. In case I ever need the examples of it again. I did some really cool stuff in some of them.
Howdy, Art.
Hi there.
How are you?
Pretty good, and you?
Not bad.
Trying to stay warm. Because, 80 to 30 is a great day in Ohio.
A wonderful day yesterday, and we're out today thinking, oh, it looks like you want to walk outdoors.
Yeah.
I had exactly the opposite. I put my coat. My coat's in the car. I put my coat on. I put my sweatshirt on. I got out. I got into the car. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hot. I am hot. Got out of the car. Took my coat off. I almost took my sweatshirt off, but I thought, it is 40. I mean, I probably ought to leave something on.
Last night about 1 o'clock, there was a ladybug on one of the cups in the sink, and I was like, "Oh, I'll be nice and I'll toss it outside," and opened the front door and kicked it off and realized that might not have been as nice as I thought it was for that poor little bug because it's freaking cold out here. Like it was so nice during the day, I just figured I'd toss him out and then be like, da da da.
We had a ladybug walking across. I had one walking across Patty's desk the other day. I'm like, "Oh, I won't do anything to you, but you don't really want to be there when she gets home." But yeah, I don't know. Past couple of days, I've had the back door open, letting the breeze come in. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah.
It was a little chilly, but I didn't see the need for a heavy coat.
Well, I was working in the garage and then working on the patio. And when I got out on the patio in the sunlight and stuff, it was comfortable.
Mhm.
There's a shade in between that and the garage.
That's probably it. I mean, I got in the car and the car was warm from the sun.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was nice in the car on the way over. That's what yesterday I started working the garage. Oh, it's kind of hot to be out here. I don't know, that's a little quick for the season. I opened the door to go out there to mess with it after lunch this afternoon. I was like, it's a little cold out here to be out here. Yeah, I don't know what to do with half the stuff in there anyway. I need to. Anybody like coffee? A few thousand more cases to get rid of. I am done with it.
you need to set up your printers and start printing stuff.
That would take her. I only have the one.
Oh, I thought you had more than one.
No, I just got that little Ender Pro 3 or whatever. Never printed yet. All put together.
Yeah. When you put it together, when you start printing, you'll be like, oh, it needs this and it needs this and it needs this.
Well, that's as I say, I already have the video up and I've watched it a couple times. It was like the first 36 prints you need to do with your Ender Pro for upgrades.
Yep.
Make a tray, fix this, fix the feed so it stops catching on this part. Put it through here so it doesn't rot out the feeder.
Why does the filament go right against the stupid screw?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that's the guy's first print's the little thing to hold
that was one of my first
feed so it doesn't mess up or eat the tube out.
That was one of my first prints was to print a little piece that screws on there to keep the filament from hitting the screw, and then a second piece where you
keep the wires from catching on the
well, that too, but that That was the third or fourth print. I printed a piece where you put a PTFF tube so that it's easier to get to feed the filament into the print head in the first place, which was just a horrible design.
I thought I was tempted to just go buy a newer printer. That Elo or something like that is like, they're so dang cheap,
The
a whole lot faster.
Enders are not bad printers. They're just
Yeah, well,
they need a lot of
they're, 12-year-old
TLC.
design or something. I got it because it came down. I won one for my birthday, and I was like, I'm getting me one. I got me one, and I haven't ever printed it. And then, because
yeah,
like right after I got it, the carbon came out, and I was like, huh.
yeah.
But I ain't
if
spending
you've got-
$1,000 on that. But now they're like $400, and it's like, well, that's tempting.
That's
But then
that's why I was gonna say, if you've got $300 or $400.
The Elo carbon came out or whatever, and it's like, well, it's auto leveling and everything else, and prints 4 times faster, and has a thing. It can do all the plastics I want to really print because the PLA wasn't what I want to print. I want to print like an ASA and stuff that won't melt in the garage.
That Elgu Neptune Pro that I picked up at an auction for $60. That thing is a fantastic. I wouldn't have thought so, but that thing's a fantastic printer.
Yeah.
I mean, I got that thing for $60. I have for less than that when you consider I got a crap ton of filament and filament dryers and all kinds of extra stuff with it. But I love that printer.
Found you a cool deal, sir.
That turned into one of my favorite printers. And it's a cheap.
Need to find me a Ranchambeau special like that. Well, yeah, watch for a CNC.
Honestly, I'm glad I got it, and I'm glad I got it as cheap as I got it. I'm not sure why I got it so cheap, but
I just want to get rid of it. I'd like to get one of those little CNC cutter etchers or something too. Little things to play with.
well,
But then I need time. I got
so that's
5,000 things on my docket if I haven't touched anyway. So it's like, just be another machine in the way at the moment.
that's one thing you could do with your ender is, get a modern printer, but then modify the ender.
Entered and put my Dremel on it.
Put a Dremel on it, put a cutting tool on it.
I said I got a nice Dremel. I was thinking that the other day. Never thought about doing it with the ender though.
I mean, they're
I got a bunch of
sort of the
extruded
same.
aluminum, but I was like, yeah, it's essentially the same.
It's kind of sort of the same thing,
Oh, it's identical.
almost.
Take the print head off, put the
And
same slicer and everything else.
there's plenty of third-party firmware to make it work.
Mm.
And everything talks in G code, so it's,
So far,
yeah, wow. I don't see that changing anytime soon, but
did you see where I forget there was like 2 Linux distros that have banned California now?
there's going to be
A whole lot more, I would
probably
assume.
more than that. I even heard,
There's a couple plants moving out of California now too.
well, I heard that the US, the feds want to take this up because they want to make it so that you can't just outright ban printers and CNC machines. Because I guess we're allowed to make our own guns.
Yeah. Well, but I'm talking about for the computers having that age verification requirement.
Oh, yeah, well,
So all the manufacturing in California will have to shut down or start paying $7,000 a day. They ain't gonna do that. Per machine.
that whole age verification thing. Yeah. I've heard a few people say that, that the feds are talking about limiting the age verification to non-open source projects, so they at least are thinking about protecting open source projects.
It still ain't gonna, I mean, manufacturing, most of it runs on Windows 95.
I get that. Well, you really think Microsoft is going to go back to an old
They're not. That's why I say,
operating system
these companies that run all these
fix
old
that?
factory plants and all the servo stuff, they're like, what's the production,
Yeah,
server, tag on it, starts with an R. Runs conveyor belts and all that kind of crap. They're not gonna, I mean, they won't bother to go back and put that on any of their stuff either.
you hear about the calculators that they got,
Yeah, the calculator that banned California.
the calculator for paying California, because it's running an OS. If you're in California and you're using this calculator, good luck.
Stupid.
It
Why can't
is.
I think of that?
It's lawmakers not understanding how any of this stuff works.
I saw a video last night, you'll just blew me away. There's a facial recognition software being run by a casino.
Mhm.
Guy comes in and says, "You're banned from the casino, you have been trespassed before." He says, "Well, I haven't been here." "Well, we have a software that says, you're not you, you're this person over here." He pulls out his ID, it's a upper echelon ID that you have to have. Oh, what do you call it?
Like a
The
VIP.
enhanced ID.
No, it's,
Oh,
where you've got
yeah, the little star thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they said, "Well, we don't care, our software says you're not that person in other places," so they call the cops. And this cop comes up and says, "It's really weird, this guy's got two IDs, and they're both valid." They take him off and they arrest him, fingerprinting, and his fingerprints come back to the ID that he has. And they charge him for trespassing, even though the trespass was against the person that the facial recognition recognized. And the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking,
Good lawsuit, he'll win down the road.
yeah. But the cop is believing this casino's facial recognition over a physical ID confirmed by fingerprints. So, what part of
DEI.
reality don't you understand?
DEI requirements and or just bad officers. Not caring. They get paid on the side to do what the casinos want.
Casino stuff, yeah.
But I've seen doppelganger people. I got pictures from being in Vegas. One of the guys from my guild was, I mean, side by side. There was a guy from another guild. There was a guild leader from they both played the same, well, we didn't even play the same game. It was a Sony hosted game. He was from another game even. Facially, not a thing different. Everything, their hair, their style, their eyes, everything. The only difference was one was like a Christian with the cross, and the other one was, the opposite with all the tattoos all up his arms. It's like, but if you didn't look at the arms, you couldn't tell the difference between them.
Yeah, but this one I was referring to.
Yeah, they got fingerprints.
They take him in, they fingerprint him, and the fingerprints come back.
Yeah. They'll get them for false arrest.
Yeah, you have to shake your head and say, what part of identification is more accurate than fingerprints?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retinal scan?
Well, they should use that in Congress.
Yeah. If I was older or my dad was younger, you really wouldn't be able to tell us apart.
Yeah,
Seriously,
well, that's,
and our mannerisms,
general genetics, but I mean, the probability everybody has in a
well,
population of 3.5 million people, there's a duplicate of almost everybody
I was going
somewhere in the country.
My business partner, we were somewhere, and he goes up to a guy who's turning the other direction, and swears that it was me. And this guy turned around, and sure enough, it looked like me, but I was clear on the other side of the building at the time. I mean, he took a picture and sent me, said,
Listen to you.
are you sure you're not here? Yeah, I'm sure I'm not here. So we all have at least one clone. And some of us live really close to each other.
Yeah. I passed somebody on 73 once going to Wikimedia that I would have bet $20 was you.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it at the time, asking, were you here?
Nope. No.
Luckily, I don't think there's too many that look like me.
Well,
This
It's
is
a better thing for the world.
But it is funny, I had loaned my car, and this was 50 years ago, I loaned my car. And the friend that I loaned it to was driving down the road, and he sees a car coming toward it. And the car keeps shifting over the center, and he's driving further and further and further to the right. And the car keeps coming over head on toward it, pulls off to the side of the road. The guy pulls up next to him, rolls his window down, says, "You're not Mike," and drove off.
So there's people that just want to run you off the road, huh?
From his description, I knew who it had to be.
Or risk of borrowing your car is what you're saying, huh?
Yeah.
don't drive down the road at night. Well, that's kind of funny. Everybody, I mean, when it first happened, I didn't really. How do they know Patty in my car? I mean,
I can only see this much.
everybody, yeah, pretty much. Everybody has associated
The phone books in the front.
Patty with my car. And one day we're at, she's working, and this guy comes running in and says, where do you live? Where do you live? And she goes, Emerald Edge Apartments. Oh, well, I just saw your husband's car at some apartment somewhere. And she goes, yeah, there's 2 or 3 cars that look like his. But it's a unique car, but there are a few others.
Yeah. They did make quite a few of them.
They did make a few. I guarantee he's at home right now.
Well, when we had our Ford Fusion, we parked, when we first got it, we parked way the hell at the end of the parking lot, a block away from the stores and stuff. When we came out to get in the car and I started to unlock it, Julie says, "This isn't our car." And I look at her, she's got a big dent in the door. somebody had pulled up, you're out, BFE
Didn't
opened
go
the
around.
door, dented the car, and then drove away without leaving a note or anything.
Did it on purpose, probably.
We don't know.
It was Mike. You're not Mike.
You're
Right.
not right.
Saw that you parked way out there and pulled up beside you. Just to bang it and left.
Well, it was really windy that day.
Or a grocery cart.
Well, it wasn't a grocery cart because it was over at the VOA in that area there.
One day, I'm picking up Patty at Kroger's, and I go in to buy some groceries, buy something. I come back out and I'm heading off to my car. The other Crown Vic that looks just like mine is sitting there in the parking lot. And I sitting there, why can't I, what? And I start looking around, and my car is another 4 spaces down behind a truck, and I'm like, no. The guy who owns that Crown Vic was slowly walking, and I went, I'm sorry, dude. I thought it was mine. He laughed. He said, yeah, we gotta watch that, don't we? Yours is nicer. I was hoping.
Yeah, I guess it was about a 78 AMC Gremlin, emerald green. We didn't make a lot of those, but there were 4 of them in my hometown. And Mikey would fit one of them. It was a great car. They just didn't have enough extra codes to put into keys.
The place that I bought my Crown Vic from, he had 2 of them identical. Came from the same department, same year, same. Other than a few miles being different, they were identical. And he told me that either key for either car would work.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. I mean, they're probably buying 15 or 20 of these and getting one key, getting them all keyed the same.
Yeah, they tend to have all of the cars rekeyed to one master key.
Yeah. Well, that way if they
By department.
Yeah. Well, I figure that way if they need to lock it or whatever, they need to move it. Any officer who's got a key could just get in there and move it. But
Or anybody that's stolen one of those.
but
Makes it easy in the future.
I kind of thought, isn't it a bad idea to sell the same car in the same town?
There's no real security in them anyway,
Yeah.
Well,
if you're into locks anyhow.
well,
Yeah, and car locks are not good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's anybody that's got the shipping keys can hop in and drive whatever.
well, the Crown Vics, at least the last couple that I've had, both had ignition cutoff switches. And if you know where they are, I mean, it's easy to defeat them. But if you don't know where they are, you just sit there and they'll just sit there like, won't do anything. It won't even try to crank it. Just sits there and looks at you like you're stupid.
The thing I want to market and sell that I think would do well for pizza drivers. You pull out your fuel pump fuse and put this thing in its place, and you carry a remote. If the remote's more than 100 feet from the car, fuel pump stops. I've known a few pizza drivers that have lost cars because they never turned the car off. It's not good for the car. And they deliver the pizza and they come back and the car is gone.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time. Did I ever turn my car off when I was delivering? I don't
Yeah,
think I did.
probably not.
I don't think I did.
It's not far, but I mean, if somebody is getting in when you're getting to the door, even if it's only 100 feet or 50 feet, you've lost that car. The advantage being you've got a phone now, but when I thought that was a cool idea and something to pursue, phones weren't a thing.
Well, see, I would love to have the white Crown Vic again. Cause that one had the cutoff switch for it also would let the car run. And you could take the key out.
Really?
And you were not getting that car to move unless you had the key to. Well, I suppose if you broke the column, but I mean, if I'm 100 foot away, I'm going
Yeah.
I'm going to know if somebody's breaking the column.
How did that work? Couldn't it cut off the fuel pump tied to the throttle? You hit the throttle, it killed it? Yeah.
When the steering wheel locks, it locked the steering wheel in place, just like you would shut off.
Yeah.
You hit the button, you shut the car off, pull the key out, car stays running. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of how it works. Up under the dash, there was a little button that was part of the same system. So if I wanted to turn the car off, I could turn the car off and then reach up under the dash, hit this button. The car wasn't starting again until I did the stupid
Button.
underneath the dash.
That's cool.
Or
Steering wheel locks don't mean a lot either.
no, I mean, if you break the column, that doesn't really mean a whole lot either. But
Yeah. You
But-
don't have to really break the column in any real sense of the word. I scrapped a car once. And it was parked at the top of the hill with the wheels cranked to the side. And I couldn't find the key. And guy came out with his flatbed and I'm like, it's the only problem. Wheels are locked. He's like, oh, that's not a problem. The door was open, so you didn't have to break any glass or anything. But he just grabbed the wheel, put one foot up against it, crunch, straightened out the wheels. Okay, we're good. And it was not much effort.
I would say more than anything, it's a deterrent to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, somebody's going to steal a car. They want it easy. They want to jump in, drop it into gear, and drive. And if your car's running and you can't even drop it into gear,
Mhm.
the wheel's not going anywhere. It's not so easy.
My son had an old box and it's just a piece of shit. He was taking up to.
You already said that.
He was taking it out to school in Cleveland. And we said, well, maybe somebody will steal it and get it off our hands. And then we thought, well, you'd have to leave the car unlocked. You'd have to leave the keys in it. Maybe you ought to leave it running with a full tank of gas.
The gas is the most expensive part.
Yeah, I've had a lot of cars that their value doubled with a fill up.
Yeah.
Even when gas was cheap.
When I was delivering pizzas, I was buying a car every 4 or 5 weeks because I just drive them. But it was a $200 car. I'd drive it until it died.
I've had
Walk away.
I've had
from the damn
probably
thing.
10 cars that were under $200. I had a Mustang I got, a 74, the worst of Mustangs. Straight six though, so solid engine. And I put 120,000 miles on that thing. And I sold it for exactly what I paid for it. It still had the cigarettes in the ashtray from when I bought it. It was a disgusting car. But as far as just get in, turn the key and go.
I don't remember what this was. I think it was a Nissan. But it had a broken engine mount. And if I parked on a hill at all, that car was not moving because the engine slid back into the transmission or something. And that was such a piece of crap. I paid, I think, $50 for that car.
Mhm.
And I was happy when it finally killed itself and got hauled off to the junkyard and I got my $50 back for it. I think I made money off of that deal.
Yeah. I've scrapped cars for more than I paid for them.
Yeah.
A few.
That was, I hated that car. That was the worst car I ever bought, and it was because of that motor mount was broken. And it was fine if you were driving down the road, fine if you were going uphill, fine if you were fine, you know. But as soon as you stopped, if you stopped on a hill, that was all it wrote. You were done.
They'll wire it back to the mount.
Yeah.
Such a piece of crap. I think I ended up driving that to.
I'll say that's usually an easy fix.
I drove that to Portsmouth, and it died in Portsmouth, and I sold it to a junkyard there, and took I took a Greyhound back home. I probably lost money on the deal actually by the time you get done with the Greyhound.
Swap out the mount.
I had a blue Jeep Wrangler Sport. They were fairly recent. It's been like 6 years ago, I guess. And I got it really cheap for what it was, because Jeeps tend to be fairly expensive.
Yeah.
And I put, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it, decided it's trustworthy, decided let's take the kids to the Grand Canyon. It's not a good car to pack 4 adults into and go to the Grand Canyon, but whatever. And we left at 2 o'clock on a Thursday evening. I was off Friday and I had a whole week off.
Cheap, right?
Huh?
Oh, cheap, right?
Yeah. That blue one, if you remember it.
Yeah. I was thinking of like, that's a lot of gas stops.
No, that's got pretty decent mileage.
Oh,
honestly. Yeah. But it also had bad leaf springs in the rear. And I've got 4 people and all of our stuff and one of those extended carriers on the back and the hitch receiver for a big 70-quart cooler filled with ice every time I'd hit a bump. So we're already moving. I can't actually get a set of leaf springs now. So we pulled into a Walmart, 24-hour Walmart, because it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I got a football. And I let some of the air out of it, and I jammed it up over the pumpkin and in between the body. Well, shoot, I can hit bumps again. Off we go. And we stopped. Let's see. The second night we stopped just before Denver at some KOI campground. KOA.
Great place. They have little bins that you can stay with air conditioning in them.
Yeah.
$50 or something.
And showers, and I mean, not bad.
I've stayed there.
So the next morning, putting everything back in, and we had pulled in late. No way to register, so I'll do it in the morning. The next morning, we ate breakfast, drank our coffee. I go over, there's still nobody there. It's like, well, okay, I guess we're not paying. I start up the Jeep and we head out and didn't get to the end of the driveway. Oh, crap. So I crank it, nothing, I'm listening. I don't hear the fuel pump. Damn. But right across the street is a shop. The kids and I push this thing across, and I think the fuel pump's shot. It drove till here, no problems. It started this morning. I guess that was the gas in the rail, but now I can't get it to start. And he's looking through his stuff. So that's about a $400 repair job. And I know. Because I got to put it up on the lift and drain the tank and get the forklift, drop the tank. I know. So there's a place you can eat right over here. Okay, cool. So we go over, and like 10 minutes later, the guy walks in. I said, your football just broke the connection to the fuel pump. I saw the football and figured you'd be okay with tape. So it's taped for now. And I put the football back. And he charged me $10. I'm like, the guy could have had $400 and done the exact same thing. I'm like, thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Your football broken.
Well, it's interesting when people look at you and understand how things function in your world. So, the guy down the street is, this is several years ago, you know, professional fireworks license. And he says, I'm going to pick up some fireworks and it's supposed to rain and I don't have a heavy enough tarp. You have a tarp. And I said, well, yeah. Julie and I had been driving along in a big semi tarp for steel covers and stuff. It was ordered by the side of the road. So the two of us wrestled that up and got it in the back of the truck. And I had it in the backyard. I said, well, let's just drag this out. I'm sure this is going to be bad for, real heavy duty with the grommets on it. And he said, well, it's got a tear. And I said, well, we'll just cut it right across where that tear is, and that'll be a big enough for you to do. He's got his son with him. His son's like 13 or 14. And I told the guy, just lean over to your right, and there's a knife sticking out of the ground. And he leans over, he pulls it out, and he said, what's your knife? And his son says, why is there a butcher knife sticking out of the ground? The guy says, well, this is Mr. Sullivan's run. And the kid was satisfied with that.
Let's see, when I was delivering pizzas for Donato's, they always, they had a little pool going, what is Leroy going to drive today? Because I had 6 or 7 cars that I would drive up there. I actually had one that I used to leave sitting in the parking lot until the owner of the complex that they were in said you can't leave cars overnight. So I would drive a good car up, drive the piece of crap to deliver pizzas in, because delivering pizzas is hard on cars.
Yeah.
And then it just became, well, I guess I gotta take a car home. So I took all my cars home. Which car is he gonna drive today? But yeah, I had gotten to the point where I was doing pretty good. I was making pretty good money delivering pizzas that, I could drive a car for 6 months. When it finally died, I didn't care. I'd buy another $200 car, send the car that died to the scrap yard, get $200 for it. I'd Didn't make anything, I didn't lose anything, I just had a different car.
Well, I did a similar thing. I had a truck that I left at Milltown Oaks. Just for driving out of the mill, because that, it just tears up the,
Yeah, that was a really abrasive dust.
it's abrasive and it, depending on where you have to go, I had to go all over. The amount of crap that builds up, can be pretty acidic if you're on a slag hauler. So I noticed that there was a hole in the frame that I could see if I'd been over and looked. And it had a hole, a crack that was progressing downward. So there's a box frame with a hole and the crack is going down. And I'm watching and it goes further and further. And at some point, I'm pretty certain like the frame is going to fold up. And one day, a little light went on and says, well, you've been looking at the driver's side. What does the passenger side look like? So I walked around and looked, and it had two cracks, one going up, one going down. So this is time to trade this in because in short order, it's going to fold up and I'll have to have it towed. So I went down at Kemper Road. There was a Dodge or Chrysler dealership. And drove it in. I was scared shitless it wasn't gonna make it to the dealership. And I'd already negotiated to buy a little Dodge Stratus. And the most valuable part of the truck when we drove it in was the fuel tank. It contained. So we traded it in and I was just happy as could be. My daughter said a week later she saw it out on the road where they had resold it. Wow, what liability could you have with it?
Patty, her dad had a pickup truck. Patty, I never met her dad. Her dad died before I was around, but Patty remembers it well. She says that it was held together by a chain and a come-along. So
In the back,
yeah, well, I guess apparently did that. It split apart, and instead of fixing it or trading it in or getting rid of it, he just pulled it back together with a chain and a come-along.
He would have used duct tape. He didn't have a handy roll.
It's just like. She's like, I have fond memories of that truck. We used to go all over the place in that truck, but it was a little scary because you could see the road.
I have a 65 Econoline that was really close to that.
My nephew lost a motorcycle helmet through the floorboard of his truck. That's serious.
I've had plenty of POSs that have had no floorboard. I had a VW Bug that the pan was essentially rotted.
Ooh, that's not safe.
Yeah, well, I figured Flintstone it.
Yeah, that's all there is to a VW though, is that pan.
The white Crown that you talk about cheap repairs. The white Crown Vic, the passenger side floorboard was getting hot. Just
Okay.
hot. I took it to a muffler shop. It wasn't making noise. It wasn't doing any weird stuff. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I just wanted to know why it was getting hot. Of course, there's an exhaust leak, but the exhaust is laying up against the floor, the pan, the thing. So I didn't hear an exhaust leak. So the thing was muffling the sound of the exhaust leak. He patched it and put a little hanger on it so that it actually hung in the right spot. $10.
Nice.
And he goes, you know, if you would have waited another 30 days, you wouldn't have had a floor. I mean, it would have melted. The floor was on the verge of melting out of it.
I had a 67 XKE that had enough of an exhaust leak that it melted the pad and the carpet
Yeah,
on the passenger footwell.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't that far, but I was close. And all I wanted to know was, why is it getting hot? I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I just wanted to know why it was getting hot. There's another mechanic that understands. We don't really care. Where's the football?
That XKE was an amazing vehicle. It wouldn't run in rain, it wouldn't run when it was dry, but when it was foggy, oh, that thing was just amazing. It missed home, I guess. I don't know, but so it was a coupe hardtop, and it's got big louvers in the hood, which is like 12 feet long. And if you were driving in the rain, you were okay until you put on the brakes. Then the water would run down the hood into those louvers, right into the cars. What the hell? Who designed this thing?
I like when Ford bought Jaguar.
Mhm.
When
Put it on the Crown Vic.
put the clip in there, do we really need a Ford Escort that will go 140 when it's not in the shop?
Yeah, I'm glad that Ford doesn't have the Jag anymore. Now it's part of Volkswagen, I think. But yeah,
Those were beautiful cars.
oh yeah,
Visually, they were just
Yeah.
stunning.
yeah. Yeah, that was probably the most valuable car I ever owned. It had inboard brakes on the rear, and I had left it at a friend's house to get it repainted. I wanted it back to stock colors. It had originally been racing green, and somebody had repainted it in slate gray, which looked okay, but in the fog you couldn't see it. You know, it's the only time you'd be out. So I wanted it back to green, and it took him 4 months to do that paint job, but it was a beautiful paint job. I'm coming home, headed north up 27. I lived in Riley at the time, and a cop pulls me over. I wasn't driving, just didn't have any guts, and normally it was really fun. Cop pulls me over, is something glowing under your car. The brakes were they had squeezed, but they never unsqueezed, and just all of the horsepower that engine could make was going into turning those rotors red.
Yep. We're supposed to slow the car down by taking momentum and turning it into heat, but not while you're driving.
Yeah, they were doing that. That thing wasn't particularly powerful. It was about 220 horsepower. But holy crap, the torque that thing made. It had about a 208, I think, rear end on it. So anything would beat it for the first two or 300 feet. But once you got up to 30 miles an hour in second gear, it just, yeah, it's nice. And I figured it had been sitting at his place so long, the gas was just bad. It was not bad gas.
Your car's on fire, buddy.
Problem.
Hello, Mr. Ray.
Hi. Yeah, I had a motorcycle that a GSXR 1000,
Nice.
and I didn't own it for very long. But while I did own it, I took it up and down the street several times, and the back rotor was glowing from where it engaged and would not disengage. And because I didn't own it for very long, I didn't realize that the rotor was staying engaged. I was just having the hell out of it, let it go, let it make things glow. But yeah, I turned it all off and let it cool down. Ended up replacing a lot of parts. I bought that motorcycle off of a sheriff's sale, so fun bike to repair. I was just happy the engine was in really good condition. Needed oil change, but it's in good condition. Chain was okay, brakes were hell, and it had some rash on the fairings and plastics. So I talked to my cousin. My cousin had a very, very similar bike, and his motorcycle had rash on the other side. So it got laid down on a different side. He bought a completely new set of plastic to go over his entire bike, and I bought the good half of his old plastics and fixed up the bike. I actually paid him to fix it all up. It's great. So, my wife is trying to call. Let me get over to her.
All right,
I'll be back in a minute.
all right.
The recording from the meeting is in the next file. Sure.
Okay.
I meant to tell you that a while ago. Sorry.
It's all right. I would have eventually remembered. Hey, I don't have that one.
It's this. Did you need to share again?
Maybe. Yeah, probably. I'd have sent it to me just in case. I probably have it. Did you see the video that my kid sent on that printer, on that cake printer? It was a horrible video, but I guess it gives you an idea of what it does. Just talk about just needing.
All right, I'm back.
No, you're not.
Nope, not. Oh,
Where are you in the world, Ray? Somewhere.
I am right down the street from my house.
Huh? Well, I guess that's
Gonna
good.
go pick up my son. I've actually had all my work this week has been in Cincinnati and Dayton and Hamilton. Kind of crazy. Got a new laser machine delivery tomorrow. Got a new laser delivery machine on Saturday, and a whole bunch of repair stuff all week long this week.
Cool.
So, I think my new next door neighbors are moving in today. I think maybe I'll go visit them. So, well, hopefully I haven't missed anything with you guys.
We've been talking cars,
Cars.
delivering pizzas in cars. All the disposable cars.
Yeah.
Don't deliver pizzas in an MR2. It just doesn't have the space for it.
Or you could put it in the back and keep it warm on the engine.
I don't even know what this thing was. It was a pickup truck, but somebody had taken the bed off and had put a home built flat bed on it and had sides up around it. It was a 2-seater, and you could only get in through the passenger side because the driver's side didn't have a handle at all. Not on the inside, not on the outside. No handle. I got this. I think I traded a computer for this car, for this truck. And the only way I could deliver pizzas was leave the pizzas in the back. Because I couldn't crawl across if the pizzas were in the front seat.
I had a TR7 that had no door handles. It had 2 little push buttons under the front cowling, and one for passenger, one for driver's side. So it had no locks.
Yeah.
You just had to know where the button was, but everybody in the company knew where that was. Watch me get in often enough.
I'm driving this this weird pickup truck thing. It was tiny. It was smaller than a Ford Ranger, an old Ford Ranger, an old a small Ford
original.
Ranger. Yes, a real Ford Ranger. It was tiny, and I'm driving this pickup truck, and I get it somewhere, and it dies on me, and I'm like, oh, what could possibly be wrong with? I mean, I'm at a customer's house. I'm delivering a pizza, and it was a standard, and I was up on a hill, and I just went, couldn't hurt. Push, 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 jump in, pop it in the gear, and it starts up, and I get it back, and it dies at Donata's again, and I'm like,
Low battery alternator.
the alternator was bad, and the alternator was like $200 or something. I was just like, take it to the scrapyard. I'll find. I've got another car. It's just.
When I lived in Middleton, the neighbor had what he felt was a very fancy truck. And I will give, the outside paint job was pretty, but after you got past the paint, God, that was an ugly vehicle. He was going for one of the California lowrider things. So it was chopped and dropped and had hydraulics and all of that. But all of that stuff was where the bed used to be. It still had the sides of the bed, but they had cut out all of the bottom of it so it wouldn't get damaged. And so now it's just a big two-seater thing. It was, I mean, I've had a few pickup trucks, and they're handy when you have them if you have things to move.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, I would really.
I got an alternator story for you if you want. You want to hear? I was driving through Kentucky in my MR2, and I pay attention to my car, so I know what's going on. And I knew that the alternator was going bad, and it most of the time it worked. And I was like, oh, please work, please work. Well, going down the highway and it's getting worse, getting worse. I feel like this is gonna die. Pulled off the highway. I'm on this country road. I see this alternator shop, and doesn't look big or nothing. And I think, gosh, I hope they're open. This is like the best luck that it's an alternator shop. So I went inside. I'm like, hey, I've got a small toolkit. The alternator is really easy to access on the MR2. Can you guys fix this? And they were like, well, yeah, we can fix this. We can get you a new alternator. I'm like, I was asking for a new alternator. They're like, well, we can fix this one. I was like, okay. You don't sell alternators? No, they don't. What they did was they did bulk repair. Like they would fix 400 alternators of the same kind as a contractor for some other company. And so I was like, well, can you guys please do this one for me? I mean, obviously I'm going to pay you good for it. And they're like, well, it's probably just the voltage regulator. They tested it and they're like, yeah, it's just the voltage regulator. They're like, well, I can't fix that. They're like, okay, well, we'll fix it for you. Okay, well, how long do you think this will take? And they're like, probably like 30 minutes or so. I'm like, well, okay, I'll just sit out in the car and wait for you. So I took in the alternator. Let me tell you guys, they stripped the alternator apart, sandblasted it, repainted the casing on it, new bearings, new regulator, put it all back together, put it in a nice pretty box to give back to me. And they charged me like $40. I'm like, are you kidding? Seriously, that's it? They're like, well, looks like you really need it. You're not trying to go out there and make profit on it. So yeah, we're gonna help you out. Like, holy crap. I mean, the paint was still like tacky.
They were like, yeah, just, give it a few minutes for the paint to dry. Like, holy crap, man. This is perfect. So, yeah, that's how I got a new alternator for my MR2.
I liked the early MR2s when they were still real square, but the later ones,
Yeah, mine was a square body steel.
yeah.
It was a 87. Yep.
Oh, the 80s, the square bodies.
Yeah. I ended up keeping that thing for longer than any of my other smaller cars. 2001, I traded it in for a new Toyota MR2. But yeah, traded in for a Toyota Tundra. Toyota Tundra.
The car that I wish I would have kept, and I didn't keep because I'm an idiot, was a Crown Vic station wagon. It was a 91. It was a
I don't think I ever saw it. Huh.
full-size station wagon. Basically, it looked like a Crown Vic on the front end and a station wagon on the back. I wish I would have kept that car. I wish I would have used that car to pull trees out of the ground. That kind of
Oh, Lord.
that car, kind of sort of. It really didn't like pulling trees out of the ground.
Yeah, that's
We had a club member that, like, up until sometime mid last year, he had a Toyota MR2 Spider. And it's silver, metal flake, really nice car. He took really good care of it. I mean, this is convertible, the whole deal. I mean, this is like my version of nostalgia. When I saw him, he drove it to the library a few times.
Yeah.
I talked to him. I was like, man, I remember this car from when I was younger. Yeah, it's like, hey, if you ever want to sell it, let me know. So he told me about it, sent me pictures, and then told me the price. And I was like, oh, I don't think so. I don't think it's worth that much for, and it was a lot of money. But it's not really a collector car. I mean, it's nice and it has personal nostalgia, but it's just not a collector car. It's not like a Porsche or something. So
When I had an 85 Crown Vic. It was the first Crown Vic I ever owned. Down in Georgia, it was an old Georgia police cruiser. But I loved that car. It had an oil leak that would not be fixed. We shoved a pan under it and I just recycled the oil every night. It was a slow leak, but it leaked about a quart overnight. So
that's not really a slow leak. It's pretty good.
that's not slow.
You have to think about it. It's slowly relative to his other cars.
How many gallons or how many quarts per gallon?
well, it had it. I don't. Okay. It was leaking about a quart overnight.
So I had a problem with oil leak in my Silver Tundra, and it's a 2014. I was concerned about the oil, so I went and got like this really nice new oil filter. Got new oil and this nice performance oil filter, like Magnum, whatever, something stupid. And while I was out of town, I changed oil. I'm like, this is easy to do. Spin out the old oil filter, spin on the new oil filter. Drain it, blah blah, all the crap. And as I'm driving home, I get this oil alert on the dashboard. I'm like, oh crap! I get out. Oil temperature's hot. There's almost no oil in there. Holy, I mean, I know I put the drain plug back in. Check the drain plug. Of course, it's in there. I added 2 quarts of oil back in my engine. Drive it. I let it run. Couldn't see any drips. Let it run. Couldn't see any drips. Drove it the rest of the way home, and it's out of oil again. I was so concerned. Like, well, what the heck happened? I must have been spraying oil all over the highway. So I filled up with oil, run it, couldn't see anything dripping. I let it just sit there and idle for an hour. Nothing wrong with it, nothing at all. I take it over to my uncle's house. We put it up on the lift, let it idle, nothing. He's like, Ray, get up in there and hit the gas and let's raise the oil pressure and all that stuff. So I'm up on top of the lift, engine's running, I rev it, and he's like, stop, stop, stop! I got oil all over my face. There was a pinhole where they crimped the oil filter together.
Yep.
It was the new high quality oil filter that had a pinhole in it. And when the pressure went up, it would just spray oil out. So my RPMs on the highway, we were looking at 2,000, 2,500 RPM, and it was just spraying oil out the filter. It was from the crimp. We took the filter off, put on a standard filter, like a Fram, and everything's good.
Mine, I drove that, I delivered pizzas down in Georgia. I drove that thing, delivered pizzas all day long, but as soon as I would get home, it would leak oil. As soon as I turned the car off, it would leak.
Lost pressure.
It would leak oil. I just started recycling, and if the oil started looking funky, I just put new oil in.
Did you catch the cat again?
Yes.
And I drove that car for a year and a half. I loved it, that car. That was a great car. It had one reason why we did not fix it. It had a steel plate on the underside of it. They put it on there for doing like trail jumping and all this other crap. So that, if you were jumping trails or whatever, but I basically meant working on the thing meant you either had to take the steel plate off to work on it, or
Everything from above.
Yep.
everything from above. So it was a pain in the butt to work on, and I honestly thought that all police cruisers were like that until much later in life. But I was out one day, a bunch of guys that I worked with, they all had Jeeps. They did not deliver pizzas in Jeeps, but they loved going out on the trail. And I said, let me go. I want to go. They're like, you can't take that car out there. I bet I can.
Watch me.
Don't challenge me. I kept up with them until I got to the creek. We got to a creek, and I got my tires weren't big enough. Basically, I got down, I hit the creek, and I stopped. I could not get enough oomph to get back up onto the other side of the creek,
Or go back the way you
or
came.
go back the way I came. They had to pull me out.
Guys, who's got a winch?
Well, they all had winches. Those Jeep guys are
Yeah.
overly prepared like that, but they were like, see, we told you. A couple of them said, I'm amazed you got as far as you got. But I knew that it was going to be all right because it had that big steel plate on it. I mean, nothing's going to get in there and puncture it. It's already got an oil leak. Who cares? I mean, what's a little more? That was a great car, and that was classic. Classic body style, the square body, the best body style that they started changing it in 90. The 91 was like the last year it started to round out, but it still was more or less a square body style.
Oh,
That's the one. If I could find an 85, of course, all of them are rusted out now. Not one of them has survived.
They didn't get oil.
Or they got oiled too much. No.
hey guys, I'm sorry. My wife just presented me with some information. I need to talk to her, so I got to go. But hopefully, I will talk to you guys next week. I am going to be out of state, but it's always nice to talk to you.
All right,
See you, Ray.
we'll see you later.
Night.
Are you gonna be in the
I-
office tomorrow?
No, I'll be in Dayton.
Okay.
And I'll be again out of office. What time? What do you need? How can I help you?
Oh, no, I was just, I have a 36-inch wide roll of clay.
He's got that
coated
paper.
Printer paper for your printer.
Oh, well, Carol will be there. There'll be somebody at my office. Somebody will be there.
Okay, well, if I
Appreciate
get down that direction tomorrow, I'll drop it off. It's,
Okay.
there's only maybe 100 feet left.
If you're coming up there, there are 6 light bulbs that belong, or 6 packages of light bulbs that belong to Steve, and that way you can get those for Steve.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Light bulb.
There are 6 packages of light bulbs for Steve. So
Just through Middletown the other day. I had forgotten. I apologize.
Okay.
I'll make sure they are with the receptionist. So up in the front area. All right. Thank you guys.
See you later.
Thank you.
Did you get any mail today?
My oil story.
Did you have anything in the mail?
Deep too. I was doing an oil change on it. Spin off the old filter. Oil up a new one, put it on, add oil, had her start it up. Big sheet of oil comes out from under it. Stop. She did. The seal had pulled out of the previous oil filter, so they were stacked, and I guess it crinkled or something, but once it got pressure on it, it had no seal. Luckily, just it was easy to spot, and I hadn't lost too awfully much oil.
But
Landlord wasn't happy.
I guess when I think, the Crown Vics, they got, especially the police versions, they've got the transmission cooler, they've got the oil engine cooler, and then they've got a secondary cooler for the engine that it takes like 7 quarts of oil.
Good grief.
Well, it's got all these coolers,
Yeah,
but it's a rather large reservoir. So when I said a slow leak of only a quart, it still had like 6 quarts in it.
left.
Yeah, it still had like a quart. I could still drive it. It'd
me,
be fine.
For me, it's always been time to work on the car when it gets to where it's using a quart every 1,000 miles. I can deal with some leak, but if it's up to that point, yeah, something's wrong.
Well, that's allowed now, right?
Pretty much.
That's the new spec for the rings.
I-
Or 1,000.
I don't particularly like oil leaks anymore. I dealt with them when I was younger. And
Yeah.
now it's just okay. It's leaking oil. Go get it fixed. There's something that needs to be fixed.
My Chev needs a valve cover. It's got a plastic valve cover and it's cracked in the corner. So every time you drive it, it's still got oil.
Oh, gotta love that.
My nephew enlisted in the Army and he was down at Hamlet. And I had one of the first original Chrysler minivans. It was an excess vehicle, so I loaned it to him. And I said, you have to check the oil every time you buy gasoline. Oh. It's
Just what you gotta do.
It's just what you gotta do. It had over 120,000 miles on it. You have to do that. But he's getting ready to be deployed. And he returned the vehicle. And his, I don't know whether it's his personality, his aura, or what, but everything he touches just turns to shit. He was driving the van down to Fort Campbell, and one of the wind vent windows from the back fell out. He said, well, I stopped in your back, but it was broken. So it's like,
It's gone.
it's gone. So he comes in, he puts on the parking brake, and the springs and the mechanism fall out. It's like, okay, I can deal with that. So I check the engine before I do anything more with it. And the dipstick, it doesn't show anything, it's dry. It's like, I know it didn't use that much oil from Fort Campbell to here. He had to have driven that without checking.
I'll tell you. Hattie had a Ford Festiva.
Great car.
You'd think Ford Festivas had a pretty serious issue actually, but it was probably my fault. I bought a 30 computers.
Oh,
And
that's to me.
it was up in Columbus, and at the time, I'm pretty sure gas was like $4 a gallon or something. And I was like, I'm not driving the van up there. Even though I probably should have drove the van there. I drove for Festiva up there. It did fine.
Yeah. 45, 50 miles per gallon.
It kind of went squatty, but we're driving it around one day. And the driver's side tire comes off and goes wheeling past me. And I'm going, Now the car's stable. I'm actually driving, the car's stable. As soon as I stop, the car goes clunk. And I pull it up into a thing. Apparently, this was a known issue. They did not put cotter pins or something. They did not put things to actually hold it. That's why the weight limit on the car is very specific. Do not put a whole crap ton of weight in these cars. But apparently a lot of people put too much weight in because this happens quite a bit. But it was a known issue, and I was kind of like, well, crap. This could have happened while I was up on the highway.
Well, I used to carry a bathroom scale around with me when I had my own sorting rabbit. So I would make certain I didn't overload it.
Overloaded. I didn't even really, seriously, I didn't even really think about how much weight 30 computers.
Yeah.
Well, I was driving down to the Hamilton plant and I noticed that in the house that had a fire. All that was left was the masonry chimney. But it was Thanksgiving one year. And so I'm going to go down and pick up bricks for the patio. So I get down there on Thanksgiving and there's these two guys operating their bulldozer. And I said, I'd like to pick up the bricks before the chimneys to put in this. Fine, go ahead. But just watch out for the guy on the dozer because he's kind of reckless. And they both had long, straight beards. And at first I thought it was a white beard. When I looked more closely, no, that was the dust that had accumulated from them running the dozer. And thinking, well, what color is that guy's beard? It's brown. Then I studied some more and realized, well,
That's the tobacco.
that's it, exactly. It was his chew. And so, oh, I don't want to get close to him because he'll run over me, but I don't want to get close to him, even if he's not running the dozer. So I made 2 trips, filled up the rabbit, and got only like 600 bricks.
Yeah. The only VW that I remember ever owning was the Bugs, the Beetles. I love those things. I own that Kia or the Kia,
Yeah.
Kia. Kia.
Yeah.
Yeah, the IKEA VW.
Herman, yeah.
Yeah, I can honestly say I owned one. I owned it for about a day, but I owned one.
They had two Beetles, they had a diesel Rabbit, they had a GTI, and they had a Golf. Wow, they were all pretty decent cars. I would like to get another Beetle too. Just because they're unstoppable. If there's a nuclear war, I can drive away from it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna live for long after, but live a little longer than somebody who can't drive away from it. That's everybody else.
yeah. And as much as I don't know about cars, Beetles are one of the very few cars that I can work on
Oh,
myself.
yeah, they are the simplest car
Yeah,
that is
And-
available.
yeah,
I mean,
and
if
even
you
if,
can get a Model T, that's simpler, but
well,
you're not
I-
going anywhere.
even if you don't really know what you're doing, there's tons of books that tell you how to fix the stupid things.
Yeah. And the only new car I ever owned was a Festiva. I got one in 94. It was the last year of production, I think. And Jeff Weiler Ford, not Jeff Weiler, maybe, I don't know, in Fairfield, no Fire Ford in Fairfield, was having a special. $2,000 credit for anything that you could bring in as a trade. And the cars were like $5,000 new.
Yeah.
And I was going to work and I came out and my little white Escort had a stream of oil running away from it. I was like, well, that's it for that one. So I poured 2 more quarts of oil in it and I drove down the street. I mean, it was like a mile away. And I traded it in and I got a Festiva with like 3.5 miles. And I took care of that car and washed it, and I loved that car. And at some point, I was driving through the wrong part of town, and when I stopped, there's a bullet hole in it.
Ask Patty about her Festiva. I still to this day, it's been 20 years. I know it's been 20 years. I still to this day hear about her Festiva that I destroyed.
I really, really liked mine. I got the car 3 days before I met my ex-wife, and we drove to New York like 4 times in that thing, and going across Pennsylvania where they had the signs that said the fine for going 56 miles an hour was $76. I got 55 miles per gallon going across Pennsylvania. That thing was amazing. I had 4 Festivas after that, one of which was given to me. The red one got repoed. It was the only car that ever got repoed. I still had $3,000 on it, which was basically everything I had in it. And I liked it enough that I went out and I got another one for like $400. And I drove that then forever.
Yeah.
Got in a wreck. Somebody knocked the mirror off of it. And I drove it without the passenger side mirror for a long time. The passenger side mirror was an option. It wasn't necessarily there, but I wanted one because I had gotten used to it. We lived over in Eastgate. And one day the kids were like, I had told them, if you ever see a Festiva that has the passenger mirror, you let me know. And they came back and I'm like, there's one over next street over. What? So I go over. Sure enough, there's this black Festiva with a passenger mirror that looked like it had just been rolled down a hill. Every panel had a dent in it. The roof had dents.
But the mirror was
The mirror was empty.
wonderful.
The driver's mirror was gone. And it was a 5-speed manual. And I had a 4-speed. I wanted a 5-speed. I knock on the guy's door. It's got Texas plates on. Knock on the guy's door. You want to sell that car? Let me know. It's like, you can have it. What? Tell me more. So, yeah, it drives, but it's my daughter's and she doesn't want it anymore. And she went back to Texas. Okay, cool.
Here, twist my arm.
Yeah. I mean, you got a title? He's like, yep, hold on. And it's got her signature on it, not his. Ooh. Any chance you can get her to sign that? I mean, it needed her signature, not his. He's like, hold on. He calls his wife and has his wife sign it. I'm like, okay, well, sure, why not? He handed me the key and I drove around the block to get back home. Pulled the transmission out of it, pulled the engine out of it, swapped out the mirror. I turned in the rest of what was left of the car, all 83 pounds of it, for scrap, and I think I got $120 out of it. I pulled the gas tank off of it. I don't know why, but I pulled the pump out because the gas pump on that car was like $80. And on top of the gas tank was an inch of sand, not oily sand. So she had to be West Texas. That car stunk. She had cats and oil. Yeah. But the mirror was
free.
clean. Yeah, it was free.
It was free.
The mirror was clean. The transmission was like
Sand wasn't
$300.
on the ground.
Yeah. Transmission was worth $300. I had been trying to replace my transmission. I went down to Jack's on what? On 50?
52.
Yeah, 52. Jack's Auto. It's down near Loader Marine, whatever. And I go through the entire yard and I find one Festiva there with a 5-speed manual. And it's up on top of a pile. So I go back, I'm like, okay, I found the transmission. What do you want for it? $200. Okay. So I go back out to the car and the guy with the loader's running around. I'm like, I need that car down on the ground. Okay. Runs the fork right through the transmission. It was the only thing on the car that mattered that he broke. Like, yeah. He sets it on the ground and there's oil coming out of the side of the transmission. Oh, man.
Put it back up there.
Yeah, I went back up front. I went, give me back my money. He just damaged the transmission. Luckily, the guy, I knew the guy behind the counter. He was usually pretty good with me. I bought two Subarus there at one point, 2 Subaru Loyalis that were identical consecutive serial numbers. Drove them both home. Paid $400 for the pair.
What happened to the days when we could find cars for $200?
Yeah.
I want $200 cars again.
Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Junker, Clunker.
Yeah.
Our program
That was
destroyed
a
everything.
terrible thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people bitching about that now because they're required to actually destroy the engines now for anything that's turned in under that program. Yeah,
Well, they were then too. They
Yeah.
spray painted the engine orange. Yeah, there were so many cars that I had that were in the under $200 range that, yeah, they're ugly and they smell bad, but they're going. I miss having a manual transmission. It's hard to find a car now that's a man's.
Yep. The Kia that we bought, I guess, a year ago. It's a 6-speed.
Nice. Wait, 6-speed manual or automatic?
manual.
Nice.
My truck's a 6-speed manual, but the computer's like
It was
stupidly expensive.
manual transmission fine. And I have, I drove it today. It's amazing, it's a 1.8 liter with a turbo, and we get about 42 miles per gallon. And you'd think that it would be just so sluggish, but it's not. It's a zippy cars.
Yeah, well, that turbo's only this big around.
Now, I don't know how big the turbo is.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
Just, that's how they get the reaction speed out of it. Older big turbos gave great boost, but they took 3 seconds to spool up.
Yeah.
You know, little tiny turbos don't do that. Go in there quick.
And when we bought the car, it had summertime performance Michelin tires on it.
Nice.
And if you look at the tread pattern, the center tube is just smooth all the way. This is not adequate for winter time.
Yeah.
I taught all the kids how to drive a
Fine on that.
manual transmission, but everybody owns an automatic.
Mhm.
But I wanted them to know how to drive a manual in case they ever needed to drive a manual.
I've only owned one automatic car in life.
Yeah, apocalypse.
Do I?
The apocalypse too. You need to go back to the
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah,
Cars hard to find them.
Yeah. The car I learned how to drive in was a 65 Rambler American Classic.
yeah.
I see the
3-speed
people one in Spain and so.
Yeah,
Well, in the early 70s, I decided I was gonna count the number of times I had to press the clutch and shift between work and home. And I got up to 4 before I forgot I was doing it.
Yeah.
I used to count the license or the traffic light.
Very coffee.
I,
We have coffee. It can be cost more than a coffee.
I believe that.
Depends
The,
on where you get your coffee.
Honey,
the,
no, this is weird.
Well, then that might be debatable then.
Yeah, they say make real coffee.
Yeah. I'm just saying a cup of Starbucks is like $5 or something.
$9.
I don't remember what car it was. We owned a manual transmission car for a while, and Patty could not drive it. I tried and I tried to get her to drive that thing. I stuck her on flat land, I stuck her on hills, I stuck her everywhere and said, this is what you gotta do, and she could not drive it. So, automatics.
Best before.
And of course, I mean, you know, I like big cars. I've always liked the big cars, and 90% of those are automatic. So,
Let's say, first time I had a car that was automatic, it was a wonderful experience. You can, drink your pop or your milkshake going down the road without having to like, oh my God, I gotta juggle all these levers.
So I'm driving a big old van at work, and it's loaded up with like 12 people. And I come up to a stop sign and my left foot comes up and it had a big wide brake pedal. Left foot feels that pedal. And as I approach the stop sign, I push the clutch all the way down to the floor. And the man goes, it's like, oh, sorry. Everybody's looking at me like, what the hell's going on with you? Well, I'm used to driving a manual. Just the concept of having to approach the stop sign and not push the clutch. Just, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
2.2 pounds, it says.
one of
The same.
one of the VW bugs I had had such a loose clutch to it, you could shift without hitting the clutch.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful. I don't need to touch the clutch. What do you mean touching the clutch? The only time, I mean, you could even pull it out of gear and stop and then pop it back in gear and drive on. It had such a loose clutch. It was almost like driving an automatic, except you had to move the thing.
My truck is like standing on an anvil. You gotta really
Yeah.
push it down.
I drove this was a long time ago. I drove a U-Haul truck that was a standard. And that was a pain in the ass to try. I mean, you really had to understand what you were doing to drive that thing. And I did not like that. And anytime I went to get a U-Haul after that, I would, is there an automatic? Oh yeah, we got automatics.
Now it's almost impossible to find a U-Haul that's in hand.
Yeah, well, this was back in the day. And that was another one of those, we bought damn near everything at the computer auction. Everything I could get my hands on, I bought, and it was a huge box truck. It was 32 foot, whatever. And the guy said, "You know how to drive a stander?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can drive a stander." He's like, "Okay, you just have to push the clutch in, pull it out of gear, push the clutch in again, and pop it into gear." And I'm like, "Seriously?" That was, I was having a hard time getting used to stepping the clutch, pull it out, letting the clutch off, pushing the clutch again and popping it back into a gear. That was not a fun experience. So the next time I went, I got a slightly smaller truck, but it was an automatic. But that was probably the first time that I had ever driven anything that was a double clutch like that, where you had to do the double clutch thing.
I said, I don't know, I was a kid, my uncle. Or what would be? Oh, great uncle. I was my grandma's brother, he was a truck driver. And his rig had two sets of gear shift levers for the, 7 on this one and 14 or something on the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, "Here, shift this one, pull this one back here and push this one up there." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah,
I was like, "This thing's weird." I was
Yeah.
little too, I don't know, like 10 maybe.
Never had driven a vehicle that had two sets of.
Yeah, as I say, I've never seen another thing like it, but I mean, that was, I guess, pretty common back in the day. He owned a
So
trucking
many-
company or
so
whatever.
many years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like 30 gears or something.
Yeah, I think this U-Haul truck had eight gears, maybe. All I know, it was a pain in the butt. And it was hard. You had to really
Yeah,
step on,
I
you
couldn't-
really had to step on that clutch to get it to engage in the first place. And then you had to do it twice. And I'm not so sure that he wasn't going to me.
You just listen to it and
Well,
I
I kind of went,
tractor.
I kind of went. They're expecting normal people to drive a U-Haul truck. So why would they make it as complicated as possible? But, yeah.
There was a cartoon in the paper about 30 years ago. And they weren't U-Hauls, it was labeled as U-Ball.
Uh,
What's your gadget?
You guys wanna see my gadget real fast
Yeah.
in the next 10 minutes? So. This is playing a actual MIDI file from the SIF's memory. Can you hear it?
That'd be good.
The next one should be louder. King of the first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You type in your note.
So at least 4 channels.
Yeah. This is an actual synthesizer. And it's USB, not USB, it's serial control. It's got all the MIDI, got all the MIDI stuff in it.
So you're saying notes. Say
But it's sending the MIDI.
it's 40/40, I mean, it's several sounds simultaneously.
Yeah, it's at least 4 channel. I can hear that. But each sound, you've got a envelope, start frequency and end frequency, closing envelope and duration. There's like 9
Might rather.
things that make up each individual sound.
A tiny synthesizer.
But
Knight Rider was so good until they got the end.
yeah, let's,
And you can ask AI to produce music.
yeah,
But
sure. I just go to a website, got a ton of MIDI files. Because it's in SIS and it's not on the SD card, I'm trying to port it over. It was written for an entirely different thing. And I'm trying to port it over so I can use it on the SD card instead of SIFs. But SIFs, there's not a whole lot of memory in this thing. So I can only put 4 or 5 MIDI files. But it was written for one of those little C6 chips, and I could not get it to work with it. I could not get it to work with one of those C6. Can you hear it, Art, at all?
I can't hear anything, no. Not at all. Nope.
The microphone's just not picking it up.
Your laptop. In your laptop, in the front, aside from the camera. No?
No.
Nope.
During the night.
That big white ball.
Should be that big white ball.
As opposed to glowing audios. That microphone.
And now if you hold it by one of the mics, we'll be able to see how much effect it has.
None.
I think that's done by the mic on your computer.
It's, no, it says microphones to snowball. It's just artificial, so the computers like can't stand it out. Try. So, funny story. I was driving my mom's car, and she's got the fully wireless and it uses the rear camera for the mirror. It's, and it suggests that the rear camera sees when you pull out of it. So the LED lights strobe like a,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I don't know how we can easily do that without sizing people up a lot, because that was bad. I had to turn it off.
Yeah, I've noticed that strobe affected.
I mean, it was giving me a headache. I'm usually not affected by that stuff, right? It's like,
Oops.
I heard that.
What?
I said I heard that. What changed?
I made it for musicians. I turned on something for musicians. Which is an interesting setting.
My favorite TV show used to be and then I had my Nokia 1530 or whatever it was. I had a X-File MIDI. I was good at that time. I did not play it anymore.
and so my old phone, I had to get the song down and had to cut it down to a second for the Apple to actually play it. And then take like 2 seconds off the clip or whatever. I've never done it with my current phone, but then, yeah, strictly with a new phone, I use that fucking little baby.
Everybody know this one? Commodore 64 Mule. Again. I love this song. This is one of those. Mule. M-U-L-E, yeah. It's an acronym, and you buy mules and trade at the trading post, and you're trying to mine for Smith ore. And
Yeah, just that was like a gold mining. Oh, it's,
You're
I've
on the-
never played it, but
you're on the planet Aida or something, and you've got so many rounds to get through. But
American game never really played it though. Never had it. I think they had it at school maybe.
do I?
I think they had it at school maybe, but I never had it for mine. But usually if we were at school, we played Katika or whatever it was all the time.
A game in which up to 4 players attempt to settle a distant planet.
And it's still, they've tried to reboot it a couple of different times. But yeah, I've been playing around with this particular project for a couple of weeks and have made no progress because I'd love to have more than just a handful of MIDI files. But this
So-
little MIDI synth from M5 that I got before tariffs and everything. It was relatively inexpensive back then, and I had it just playing random notes and stuff, and then I finally found somebody that used a different synthesizer, and it worked because it's talks synthesizer, it talks MIDI.
So, do you know how many channels it supports?
I would have to look, but I thought it was.
Most of the chips were 32 or 64. And I can't imagine they went for that. But yeah,
I think it was. I want to say it was 8, maybe 12.
that's cool.
But
I mean, there are
It-
lots and lots of sites of just MIDI files.
MIDI files, and that's what I wanted it to do since I bought it. But it it's got a little amplifier built into it, obviously, and you can control the volume, so you could send a command. So all those ones that are real weak,
Mhm.
if I knew what they were, if I knew what order they were in, I could actually tell it to
Amp it up.
boost the volume of them.
You said several times that the files are on CIFS, and CIFS to me is a whole different thing. What do you mean?
It's
CIF
EEPROM memory.
Okay.
So the ESP32s have you can make like a fake file system
Oh, okay.
in the EEPROM, and that's CIFS, the CIFS file
Okay.
system, and it looks like a
Like a file.
drive,
Okay.
kind of. So
CEPH.
like a lot.
CEPH. This. Well, I'm gonna say
Oh,
that's.
that's CEFS.
Well,
CEFS is a whole different thing.
So if
Sure.
well, that's why I was. I mean, you can put that on almost anything. That's what I was just wondering if that's.
well, if you run, there's a file utilities, and if you run, it'll look just like a drive. It'll say the name. I think it only supports like 8 characters for the file name or whatever, but it'll list out the names, and you can write to it like it's a drive. Like, if you had a text file or something that you wanted to maintain over time.
Yeah.
Now, why the original guy went with CIFS and not using the SD card, I don't know. But he did something weird. He's not using like a standard CIFS library thing. So trying to get him back and forth, and every time I've tried, it's failed to compile. So I may just have to leave it alone. Because it really wasn't written for this. It was
Yeah.
written for something else.
CIFS to me is Common Internet File System, which is a subset of Microsoft SMB. It's kind of curious why they call it that.
Probably written by somebody in China that doesn't know what Microsoft did.
Well,
Doesn't care.
there is. I think there's 4 or 5 different file systems that you can use with the EEPROM. And CIFS just seems to be like
Yeah.
the
Easy.
the default easy one to use.
Does it do 8.3 file names?
8 characters by 3, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It looks just like old
Yeah.
DOS when you list out the program. And I can put file utility on here, and it'll list all all the files. But there's only so much space. I mean, it's only a 1 meg EEPROM chip or something.
Okay.
So
And you can't list out the files that are on the SD card.
I'm working on it.
Maybe if you split the SD card into 2 file systems, one to run off of and one to store files on.
The SD, it would have been easy if you had used like the standard CIFS library.
Mm-hmm.
It would have just pretty much been a drop in replace SD here instead of, put the SD library in place and tell it which pins the SD card uses. But he didn't use a standard library, so it's not quite as straightforward as it should have been. Of course, I don't know when he wrote this. I mean, it could have been written many moons ago when, 'cause, like I said, it wasn't written for this. It was written for something else.
It made sense at the time.
I'm sure it made sense at the
So
time.
much stuff made sense at the time.
I'm sure it made sense at the time. Oh my goodness, it's 7:04. Oh my goodness, what does that mean?
It means it's time.
Dinner time.
Back up my butt.
It means that we're over time. We're virtual
We don't
next
have an
week. I
audience.
know.
Do you file anybody? 32.
We're virtual next week.
32? That's
I will see you later.
Take care.
All right, we'll see you later.
Anybody
Take
need
care.
a thumb drive?